I swear I only stepped away for 10 minutes. I was doing night inventory at a self-storage facility outside Cedar Rapids. It was nearly 3 a.m., the graveyard shift, quiet, dead quiet. I left my desk to grab a coffee from the break room. When I came back, Unit 209 was open. That might sound minor, but in a job like mine, any open unit is a problem. A lawsuit waiting to happen. So I grabbed my clipboard, slipped on my flashlight, and headed into the rows. The cold hits different between those buildings. Like the air isn't moving. Like time slows down. Unit 209 was at the far end of the east corridor. I'd walked it a dozen times. Nothing unusual. But as I got closer, I noticed something off. The door wasn't just open. It had been ripped upward, the metal roll warped and bent at the corners, like someone forced it open from the inside. That wasn't possible. The units only open one way, and the door was still padlocked, still sealed. I felt my hand freeze over the handle of my flashlight. It wasn't fear at first. It was confusion. Who the hell opens a door from the inside that's still locked from the outside? I crouched, shined the light under the door. I expected nothing. Instead, I saw a bare foot, about 2 feet from the edge. Pale, lifeless. I stood up so fast I nearly lost my balance. My first instinct was to call 911, but I didn't. And I still don't know why. Maybe I didn't want to be blamed. Maybe I thought it was a prank. Or maybe I recognized the tattoo. That's what really set my stomach spinning. There was a tattoo on the top of the foot. A small black bird with its wings tucked. I had seen that exact tattoo 2 months ago, on a missing persons flyer at the Casey's gas station 2 blocks over. Girl named Bethany Myers. Disappeared after work. Never made it home. And now, she was here. Inside a locked unit that should have been empty. I wanted to run. Call the cops. Call someone. But my eyes drifted to the inside of the door. Something had been scratched into the aluminum. Just above eye level. Deep, panicked scratches, like someone used a key or nail. It said, "He's in the vents." I heard a sound behind me. Not footsteps. Breathing. Slow, wet, intentional breathing. I turned around. Nothing. Empty hallway. Just my flashlight beam swaying against the corrugated doors. Then I realized. The breathing wasn't behind me. It was coming from inside Unit 208. 1 unit over. Right beside me. And there was no lock on that door. No tag. No warning. Just a tiny sliver of light underneath. And a set of fingerprints across the steel. 5 long, greasy smears. All dragging downward. I should have called the cops right then and there. But I didn't. I told myself I'd check the neighboring unit first. Just a quick look. Maybe the girl from 209 had somehow wandered into 208. Maybe she wasn't dead. Maybe I could help her. I think I just didn't want to believe what I'd seen. That foot. That tattoo. That message. He's in the vents. It didn't make sense. I unlocked 208. The door rolled up slow, loud as hell. My flashlight shook in my grip as the beam swept across the inside. The unit looked empty. At first. Just a metal box. No furniture. No boxes. Just a few dark stains along the floor that didn't look fresh, but didn't look old either. And then I saw the vent. It was a maintenance grate on the upper right wall, about 6 feet off the ground. Way too small for a person. But it was open. The metal had been bent outward from the inside. The screws snapped, some of them twisted like clay. I stared at it way too long. Something about the way it bent. Like someone inside had been watching. Listening. I felt this growing static behind my eyes. Like I was being watched too. Like someone was behind me. Right behind me. Holding their breath. I spun around. Still nothing. And that's when I made the second mistake. I stepped inside. I crossed the threshold into Unit 208. And the second my foot hit the floor, the door slammed shut behind me. I lunged for the handle, but there wasn't one. Not on the inside. These units weren't meant to be opened from within. I banged on the metal, yelling, cursing myself. No signal. No help. The radio on my belt just crackled static. Nothing but dead air. And then I heard it again. The breathing. It wasn't behind me now. It was above me. I looked up. Something moved across the vent. I swear I saw fingers, not grabbing, just gliding. Like a hand dragging across the edge. Then the whispering started. Low. Soft. You opened the wrong door. My flashlight flickered. Just once. But when it came back, something had changed. There were footprints on the floor. Bare feet. They hadn't been there before. And they were fresh. I backed toward the wall, pressing myself flat. I didn't care if it was irrational. I didn't care if it was a prank. I needed to get out. I grabbed my multi-tool from my belt and started working at the screws around the edge of the door, hoping I could pry one loose. That's when I heard the storage lock gate outside open. Not just open, slam open. Someone had used the manager keycard. Only me and one other person had access to that card. My supervisor, Doug. But Doug was out of state on bereavement leave. So who the hell just entered the property? And why did they have his badge? The vent above me clicked again, like something shifting its weight. Waiting. Listening. I gave up on the door. There was no getting out that way, not without tools I didn't have. I was about to try prying open a seam along the bottom when I heard something from outside. Footsteps. Fast, heavy, booted. Someone was sprinting down the corridor toward my unit. I backed away from the door and flattened myself against the far wall. My flashlight was flickering again, weaker now. The beam jittered across the floor. Bare footprints still there. Still wet. The footsteps stopped. Right in front of 208. Silence. Then, without warning, the door flew open. It wasn't Doug. It was a man in a maintenance uniform, same logo as ours, same reflective vest. But I'd never seen him before. He wasn't part of our team. His face was wrong. That's the best way I can describe it. Off. Like he was trying to smile but didn't know how. Teeth exposed but not in a natural way. Like a dog. Like a threat. He held a crowbar in his right hand. Not dragging. Gripping. Tight. "What are you doing in here?" he asked. I froze. I got locked in. I'm staff. You got a badge?" He didn't answer. He just tilted his head, still smiling. Then he looked past me, into the unit. "At the vent." "Ah," he said, almost gently. "You heard her, didn't you?" I didn't move. He stepped closer. I noticed his boots were wet. Thick mud up the sides. But the lot was dry. Had been for days. He raised the crowbar and pointed at the vent with it. "She keeps crawling back in," he whispered. "That's not how this works." Then, without warning, he charged me. I reacted on instinct. Dropped low, slammed into his legs. He tripped, caught himself, swung the crowbar. It glanced off my shoulder, sent lightning through my neck. I felt something pop. I scrambled out of the unit and into the hallway, crawling backward like a crab. He followed, slow now, dragging the crowbar like he had all the time in the world. Then I heard the scream. From Unit 209. A real scream. Raw. Human. Guttural. It cut through the night like a knife through fabric. I looked toward 209, the unit where I'd seen the girl's foot. The foot was gone. The door was still padlocked. But blood was leaking underneath. The man didn't react. He just stepped over me, looked down, and smiled again. Then he said something that nearly made me vomit. "Now she'll need a new mouth." He turned his head toward me. "You want to help with that?" I didn't answer. I bolted. Ran full sprint toward the exit corridor. Toward the front office. Didn't look back. Didn't stop until I crashed into the glass entry, slamming my code into the security panel like my life depended on it. The lock clicked open. I stumbled inside. Alarms off. Lights flickering. And someone was already sitting behind the desk. It was Doug. Or, it looked like Doug. Until he raised his hand. And I saw the bandage on his wrist. The exact same one he had when I found him passed out in the staff bathroom 3 months ago, saying he didn't remember anything. Only now, the bandage was bleeding through. "Doug." My voice cracked like a kid's. I took a cautious step forward, still clutching my shoulder. It was burning from the crowbar hit. My shirt was soaked with sweat. Doug didn't answer at first. Just kept staring at the monitor wall. The CCTV feed flickering across the screens. All 12 camera angles cycling. Unit doors. Empty hallways. Unit 209. Still padlocked. Still leaking. "Doug," I said again, firmer this time. "What are you doing here?" "You were out of state." He slowly turned his head toward me. "I came back early," he said. His voice was flat. Off. Didn't feel right staying away. He didn't ask why I looked like hell. Why I was bleeding. Why I looked like I'd just seen a ghost. Nothing. Just that blank stare. Something was missing behind his eyes. That's when I realized he hadn't blinked once. You okay? I asked. He finally smiled. You heard her too, huh? That line. Same as the man in the uniform. The way he said it, not like a question, but like a diagnosis. I stepped back. My hand found the phone on the desk. Landline. I didn't even know if it still worked. I need to call the police, I said. There's a woman in 209. Or there was. I think, Doug, I think someone killed her. He just nodded, slow and deliberate. Good, he said. What? He looked up at the screens again. Means she's finally quiet. I hung up the phone. Didn't even finish dialing. My stomach twisted. Everything about this felt wrong. Him being here. That blood. The way the doors slammed behind me. It was like I was the only one who didn't know what was going on. Like everyone else was in on it. Doug stood up from the chair. And that's when I saw it. His pant leg rode up slightly, revealing bare feet. Pale. Toes raw and red, like he'd been walking across gravel. Same as the prints in Unit 208. I backed toward the break room. My only plan now was to get out of the building, grab my car keys from the locker, and drive anywhere. Doug didn't stop me. Didn't chase. He just whispered, "Don't forget to lock up when you leave," and sat back down. I ran. Down the corridor. Slammed into the break room door, fumbled with my locker code. But the locker was already open. My keys were gone. Only thing inside was a tiny, black bird sticker, same design as the tattoo. Someone had stuck it to the back wall of the locker like it had always been there. My phone was missing too. That's when I heard the engine. Outside. Someone had just started my car. I ran to the front office window. Too late. I watched my own car pull out of the lot with its headlights off. I was stranded, trapped in my own workplace. And then all the lights in the building went out. The emergency power flickered, low red glows blinking every few seconds. That's when the door to the break room creaked open. Not slammed. Creaked. I turned and saw the woman. No blood. No puffy eyes. Just standing there, wearing the same puffy coat, smiling like she'd never left, and holding my keys. I froze. She didn't speak. Just stood there, lit red by the emergency light, holding my car keys like they were a gift. The same woman I saw dead, or nearly dead, in Unit 209. The tattooed foot. The blood under the door. The note. He's in the vents. Now she was standing upright. Smiling. Alive. But something was wrong with her posture. Too stiff. Like she was standing only because someone had propped her up. Her neck twitched, subtly, like she was adjusting to the weight of her own head. You dropped these, she said. Her voice wasn't strained. No fear. No panic. Just calm. Controlled. Like she was reading from a script. I didn't take the keys. Instead, I asked the only thing I could manage to say. Who are you? She tilted her head like she didn't understand the question. I told them you'd come, she said softly. Eventually. Who? Her smile widened. Doesn't matter now. You're already part of it. I took a slow step back toward the hallway. I saw you, I said. In 209. Your body. That wasn't me, she said, cutting me off. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. Tossed it at my feet. I flinched. It was a name tag. Plastic. Slightly cracked. It read, Doug Fisher, Assistant Manager. I stared down at it. Processing. But Doug, he's here. He's in the office right now. No, she said. Doug hasn't been here in a long time. I picked up the tag with shaking fingers. Then it hit me. I never saw Doug enter the building. Never heard a door. No footsteps. He was just there. Sitting at the desk like he'd never left. The woman walked past me, slow, deliberate. Like she owned the place. Like she wasn't afraid of anything inside. And then, as she reached the hallway, she said, Ask him about Unit 133. The lights flickered again. I turned to ask what she meant, but she was gone. Just gone. I checked the hallway. Empty. No footsteps. No exit creak. Just silence. I ran back to the office, name tag in hand. Doug was still at the desk. Still staring at the cameras. But now all the monitors were black. All except one. Unit 133. The feed was shaky, grainy, like an old VHS tape. But it showed something. A boy. Early 20s. Sitting in the corner of the unit. Crying. Wearing the same uniform as me. The exact same uniform. I blinked. No. Not just the uniform. It was me. Same face. Same bruised shoulder. Same busted collar. Staring into nothing, mumbling something I couldn't make out. I turned to Doug. He was gone. Chair spinning slowly. Still warm. And beside it, a clipboard. Mine. With today's date on top. And a single handwritten note in red ink. Unit 209. Do not open under any circumstance. It wasn't my handwriting. The building was silent. Too silent. That unnatural kind of silence, like the air itself was listening. Every step I took felt loud. Wrong. Even the emergency lights had gone dead, one by one, leaving only moonlight bleeding in through the high windows. I held the clipboard like it meant something. Like it was a shield. 209. Do not open under any circumstance. Too late for that. I opened it. I stepped inside. I saw her, the girl. Bethany. Or someone who looked like her. And now she was alive again. Holding my keys. Whispering things like I was supposed to understand. But I didn't. Not then. I should have left. Should have run, broken a window, screamed until someone heard me. But something pulled me deeper. I moved through the dark, using the weak light from my half-dead flashlight. The screens in the office were all black now. Unit 133 had gone dark too. No static, no signal. Just absence. Like it was never recorded at all. I made for the back hallway. The one we used for emergency access. It led to the breaker room, the maintenance bay, and, most importantly, the back door. I needed out. Every instinct in me was screaming that something was waiting in the vents. Watching. Following. When I reached the breaker door, I froze. It was wide open, and every single switch was flipped down. Off. Except one. 133. That one was still on. Lit red. I stepped inside. The walls of the breaker room were lined with old paper logs, inspection reports, maintenance slips, expired certifications. Dust and grease coated everything. And in the middle of the floor, a phone. Mine. The lock screen was on, battery at 1%. Someone had set it down perfectly, like they knew I'd come here. I picked it up, heart pounding. Opened it. One notification. Recording saved, voice memo, 2:17 a.m. I didn't remember recording anything. I hit play. Silence at first. Then footsteps. Heavy, unsteady. Then my voice. I'm not going back in there, man. I'm not. Listen, whatever's in 133, it's not Doug. It's not anybody. Then another voice. Mine. But I hadn't spoken again. It was a recording of me, but saying something I'd never said. We let her out, the second voice said. We let her out, and now we all have to stay. I dropped the phone. It hit the ground right as the breaker door slammed shut behind me. I ran to it. Locked. No handle on the inside. Same as the storage units. I pounded on the door, shouting, screaming. Nothing. Then the vent in the corner of the room creaked. Slowly. Metal scraping metal. I backed away from it instinctively. The flashlight in my hand flickered. Then died. Total blackness. And from the vent, I heard it again. That slow, wet breathing. Only this time, it was louder. Closer. And then, a voice. So close, it felt like it was inside my head. You didn't lock it, did you? A hand slipped through the vent. Thin. Pale. Red under the fingernails. It started tapping on the floor. 1 tap. 2 taps. 3. Then silence. Then, the lights turned back on. All of them. Every single light in the facility. And somewhere, far off down the corridor, I heard a unit door roll open. Not slam. Not break. Just slide. Someone had just let something else out. I kicked the breaker room door until my heel went numb. Nothing. I was trapped. The tapping from the vent had stopped, but that didn't mean anything. I knew whatever it was still in there. Or worse, it was already out. And then I heard it. A scream. Short. Cut off. Male voice. Someone else was in the building. I didn't think. Just reacted. I grabbed a rusted breaker panel off the wall and bashed it against the door lock until it buckled. When it finally gave, I spilled into the hallway, breath ragged, flashlight still dead in my hand. The facility was blinding now, every light on. But it wasn't comforting. It felt staged. Like I was being watched. Like someone, or something, wanted me to see everything. And they wanted me to see this next part. I followed the scream toward the west corridor. I wasn't even thinking about why someone else would be here. My brain was pure survival now. Turn corner. Scan. Listen. Keep moving. And then I saw the blood, trailing from Unit 112. The door was wide open. Inside was a man, probably mid-30s, cargo jacket, gloves, face down on the concrete. Blood soaked the floor around his head. Skull caved in. Next to him, a police radio. An officer. But he wasn't in uniform. Just plain clothes, badge half exposed from his back pocket. Gun still holstered. He never had a chance. Pinned to his back was a note, written in black Sharpie, all caps. He looked inside. My stomach dropped. I backed away from the door, heart pounding, and that's when I heard another voice from behind the neighboring unit. Low, whispering, "Don't look, don't look, don't look." I moved slowly toward the sound. And then, a figure stepped out from the shadows. A young man, wide-eyed, bleeding from the shoulder, holding a box cutter like it could actually help. "I didn't open anything," he stammered. I heard the call go out on the scanner, and I thought someone needed help." "Who are you?" I asked, keeping my distance. "Name's Connor," he said, shaking. "I live across the street. I work nights. I'm a radio geek. I heard your call go out an hour ago. Dispatch didn't answer. I came to check." I should have felt relief, but all I felt was dread. If Connor heard the call and came inside, then someone had let him in. We both turned at the sound of another door rolling open. Then another. Then another. The units were opening one by one down the corridor. I didn't open them. Connor didn't. And none of them had been unlocked earlier. From inside each unit, a faint dragging sound began. Not footsteps. Not breathing. Dragging. "Run," I said. Connor didn't ask questions. We sprinted back toward the main hallway. Every unit we passed now had fresh blood trailing out from under the doors. One had a hand, just a hand, resting limp across the threshold. Then I saw something that stopped me cold. Doug's body. Or what was left of him. Half in, half out of Unit 133. His face, it had been torn open. Jaw cracked sideways. Teeth scattered like coins on the floor. But what made me gaggle was that someone had used a soldering pin to burn a word into his forehead. "Copy." Connor screamed. Bolted. I followed, but I already knew. Doug wasn't the only copy. Whoever I'd been talking to in the office, that wasn't him. And I didn't know who else inside this building wasn't who they appeared to be. Or worse. Who else might have been let out? We barricaded ourselves in the supply closet next to the vending machine bay. It wasn't much, a hollow core door, a chair wedged under the handle, a shelf jammed in front of it. But it was all we had. Connor was hyperventilating. I was bleeding from my shoulder again. The adrenaline had worn off, and now all I felt was fire where the crowbar had landed. The pain was real, but it grounded me. Reminded me I was still alive. Barely. Outside, the hall had gone quiet again. Too quiet. Like everything out there was just waiting. "They're not people," Connor whispered. I saw one of them crawl up the ceiling like it weighed nothing. Like its arms bent the wrong way. That's not human. I wanted to tell him he was wrong, that there was a rational explanation. But I couldn't even convince myself. What I'd seen in Unit 133, what I'd seen crawling through the vents, mimicking voices, switching faces, it was deliberate. Cold. Learned. Like it had been practicing. And now it was better at being us than we were. Connor checked his phone. Dead. Mine was long gone. That's when I remembered the security tablet. Every night before shift, I had to log into the facility's internal system using an old, off-grid tablet that was always kept in the equipment locker. Completely local network. No cloud. It ran on its own backup battery and had archived footage stored for 72 hours. If it was still working, I might find something. A clue. A pattern. A mistake. "We have to get to the locker room," I said. "If the tablet's there, I can find out how this started. Maybe even how to end it." Connor stared at me like I was crazy. "And if it's not there? Then we die in a closet." We waited in silence. 10 minutes. 15. No movement outside. And then, that sound again. Scraping. Not at the door. Above it. The vent. The same slow, metallic screech of something dragging itself into position, coiling in the dark, listening. The air grew colder. I could feel it, not like a breeze, but like something was pulling the warmth out of the room. Connor was gripping a screwdriver like it meant something. I counted silently. 3, 2, 1. I yanked the door open and we ran. Straight for the locker room. We didn't look back. Didn't speak. Just moved. Past Doug's body. Past the smear of blood from the cop. The lights were still on, but now they were flickering in sync, like something was controlling them. We made it inside and slammed the door shut behind us. I went straight to locker 4B. The tablet was there. Still powered. Still recording. The screen blinked on, asking for a PIN. I entered it. The screen loaded a list of security alerts. Unit doors accessed, system overrides, failed badge attempts. There was one entry that caught my eye. Manual override. Unit 133. Accessed by unknown badge. Timestamp 2:17 a.m. The same time the voice memo on my phone was recorded. I tapped into the footage. The screen showed me standing in front of 133, staring at the lock. Only it wasn't me. Not exactly. The stance was wrong. Shoulders too relaxed. Expression blank. Like I was wearing my own skin, but didn't know how to live in it. Then the copy of me looked straight into the camera, smiled, and waved. I dropped the tablet. Connor backed into the corner, shaking. That's when I saw something on the locker room wall I'd never noticed before. A maintenance hatch, half covered by a mop rack, screwed shut, and written across it in red marker. If found, do not open. This is how she comes back. Below it, fresh fingerprints. Red. Smudged. Still wet. Connor begged me not to open it. I didn't blame him. But there was something behind that hatch. I knew it. Maybe not an answer, maybe not a way out, but something. Something that whoever, whatever, was doing this didn't want me to see. And in that moment, that was enough. I grabbed a pry bar from the corner of the locker room and jammed it under the hatch. The metal creaked and groaned, but it gave. I peeled it back just enough to shine the dead flashlight's remaining glow into the dark space behind it. At first, all I saw was dust and wires. Then a face. My face. Eyes wide open. Mouth sewn shut. The body was curled into the fetal position, wrists zip-tied, a maintenance badge clipped to the collar. Unit 133. Authorized access only. I stumbled backward. Connor, I said, my voice breaking. I think that's me. He didn't answer. I turned around. Connor was gone. The door to the locker room was wide open. No sound. No warning. Gone. I stepped out slowly. The hallway was quiet again. Still, every door in the facility was open now, hanging crooked on their tracks. All except one. 209. It was shut. The padlock was gone. I walked toward it. My flashlight flickered out for good halfway there. But I didn't need it. The light above Unit 209 was brighter than the rest, almost humming, like it was waiting for me. As I got closer, I noticed the floor was different. Padded. Soft. Like layers of cloth, stacked over each other. I looked down. Clothes. Dozens of sets. Shoes. Uniforms. Jackets. All stained. Some slashed. One had my old name tag. The door to 209 opened on its own. Inside, the walls were covered in mirrors. Not hung, nailed in. Each one slightly distorted, bent at the edges. Some fogged, some cracked. In the center of the room stood a figure. Still. Waiting. It was me. But not like the one in the vent. This version was calm. Deliberate. Hands behind his back. No injuries. No twitching. Perfect posture. What do you want from me? I said. It tilted its head. Same thing you wanted. It said in my voice. To disappear. To be forgotten. You made that choice the moment you opened the door. You're not real, I whispered. It smiled. I'm more real than you. You gave me your name, your keys, your face. You even let me drive your car. Why wouldn't I be real? I stepped forward. It didn't move. I didn't ask for this. No, it said. But you wanted out. You wanted someone else to take the weight. That's what we do here. We. It raised a hand and pointed to the mirrors. I turned. In each one, a different version of me. Bleeding. Screaming. Begging. One had his head bashed in. One was burning. One just stared, jaw unhinged and twitching like a broken puppet. You're not the first, it said. And you won't be the last. I grabbed a broken pipe from the floor. I'm done running. It nodded, almost respectfully. Then it lunged. We collided in the center of the room. Fists, teeth, elbows. It fought with precision, like it had practiced this moment 100 times. I felt ribs crack, blood in my mouth. The mirrors shattered one by one as we slammed against them. I don't remember the moment I got the upper hand. Just the sound of the pipe crashing down, again and again and again, until the breathing stopped, until the room went quiet. I dropped the pipe and realized every mirror had gone dark. No reflection, no light, no copy, just me, alone, broken, and free, or so I thought. I walked out of that unit bleeding from the mouth, limping, half blind in one eye. But I walked out. Every hallway was dark again. The lights that had blazed so bright before were now dimmed, humming low, like the building itself had finally exhaled. The units were shut, locked, as if they had never been opened. No bodies, no blood, no sign that anything had ever happened. Just my footprints, smears of red, a trail that led from the back hallway all the way to the main office. I found my phone there, right where I left it on night 1. Battery full, no cracks, clean, unlocked, no voice memos, no missed calls, just one new text. Unknown number. It's handled. You can rest now. I didn't respond. I walked out the front entrance. Dawn was barely creeping over the trees, frost clinging to the windshield of my car, which was parked exactly where I'd left it. Keys in the ignition. Nothing missing. Like none of it happened. But I knew it did. The bruises were real. The cracked rib. The stitched lip. The smell of blood under my nails. And the mirror. That damn mirror in my apartment. The one I never noticed before. 2 nights later, after quitting the job and deleting every trace of the storage facility from my life, I caught myself watching my reflection in the dark. I hadn't moved, but the reflection did. Not big, not dramatic, just enough. A twitch in the cheek before I felt it. A blink out of sync. A smile I hadn't made. I smashed the mirror that night. Slept with the lights on. I told myself it was just trauma, just stress. That the mind plays tricks when it's desperate for safety. But sometimes, I still hear it. From the vents in my apartment. That breathing. Slow. Wet. Intentional. I've moved twice since then. Disconnected from everything. I don't use my real name. I don't talk about it. I've tried to forget. But last week, a package arrived at my new place. No return address. Inside was a set of keys. And a name tag. Doug Fisher, assistant manager. And beneath it, scrawled in ink that had bled through the envelope. There's a new one now. Your shift's over. But when I checked my front door camera, no one had ever come to the door. No delivery. No footsteps. Just a brief flicker of static on the feed. And my face, staring back. Not smiling. Just watching. Waiting.